It's more important being together than having your shit together. Summer Camp is a movie, in theory, written and directed by Castile Landon, who did After Everything, After Ever Happy, and After We Fell. I haven't seen any of those movies, and I almost feel a morbid curiosity to check them out after watching this movie, this comedy, with a lot of stars, and they certainly tried to do comedy, didn't they? Am I tipping my hand as how I felt about Summer Camp? Summer Camp, sadly, is not a takeoff on Sleepaway Camp, with stars like Diane Keaton, Kathy Bates, Alfre Woodard, and various others like Eugene Levy. Eugene Levy, who's really, really funny, and others like... You have Betsy Sodaro, who actually is talented. You even have Nicole Richie in this. When was the last time that Nicole Richie was in anything that actually had any levity or anything halfway coherent about it? Because I don't think Nicole Richie has ever been halfway coherent. But nevertheless, yeah, you have various people, and you can check out the cast and recognize that there are a lot of talented people in the cast for this movie, this comedy, where you have Jenny, played by Kathy Bates, you have Nora, played by Diane Keaton, and you have Mary, played by Alfre Woodard, who end up forming a lifelong friendship at Camp Pinnacle, which actually is in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And at Camp Pinnacle, you never apologize until you see blood. Well, I don't know about blood, but I was certainly seeing red within the first few minutes of this movie. And yeah, I'm kind of tipping my hand as to how I felt about Summer Camp because, after a little bit of setup with them as Utes, as it were, we then smash cut to 50 years later, where Jenny, Kathy Bates, is somebody that, is an influencer, shall we say. She has written books, and she's very, very good at what she does, and she influences people. She's also single because she's so focused on her work. And then you have Diane Keaton playing Nora, who's a workaholic, and we find out why a little bit later. And then Mary, who's trapped in a marriage. Love and marriage, that's a better joke than anything in Summer Camp. What the fuck was this? I think somebody needed some shit shoved in their face like some comedy that might fucking work. Let's just get back to the review. Why don't I? Just came up with that off the top of my ass, as it were. So, yeah, they reunite. Jenny basically pays for everything because their friendship has kind of dissolved, even though they do care about each other. There's tension, and obviously, after, 50 or so goddamn years, even if you stay in contact for 20 to 30 of those years, you're going to drift apart. That's the one thing about being adults. There are people that live in close proximity to me that I keep in contact as much as I can, but life takes us in all kinds of directions. So yeah, the comedy works about as well as basically trying to saw off your own goddamn hand to prevent yourself from having to write a bad check, possibly a check to fund a movie called Summer Camp. The drama doesn't work at all. Everything is heavy-handed, yet also lands with a resounding thud. While there is talent here, talent in front of the camera. These are some uber talented people. Beverly D'Angelo is in this. I mean, Beverly D'Angelo, who is really, really funny and talented. Eugene Levy, who is a talented guy. I mean, Kathy Bates, career resurgence with American Horror Story seasons. Diane Keaton, bright, personable, very funny, very good at dramatic acting. And Alfre Woodard, who apparently is in her 70s. And I can't believe that because she doesn't look good at all. She was in Annabelle, by the way. She was the one that said, I'm going to do this because I need to write myself out of this movie. And then it didn't amount to anything. Good job, character that Alfie played, even though I can't, Alfie. Alfie actually is a pizza joint that used to exist around here, but nevertheless, let's get back to Summer Camp. Can you tell I'm not really taking this movie seriously? Because this movie doesn't want to take being a movie seriously. I actually was astonished by the ineptitude on display here, and I do want to point out one particular character. Betsy Sodaro plays Vic, who's like the camp head, so to speak, and is supposed to be the very, very, like enforcing the rules type and everything. And Betsy actually is talented. Unfortunately, She is not given anything to do here except be an uber annoying, grating character. Not even grating in, I want to see them get their comeuppance. It's like, who thought that the takes they used were worth putting together, Human Centipede together, and making a movie out of this? What were the busted takes like, I wonder? Because this is fucking terrible. It is one of the worst movies of 2024 by far. I knew nothing about this movie beyond the star power, and I like Diane Keaton, as I said. Hell, I like the Book Club sequel. It wasn't great. It admittedly has some issues, but it had charm in it. It's also one of 4 Jane Fonda movies that I saw in a calendar year, which still surprises the hell out of me. But there's talent here, and I just gotta think they might have been wondering, well, it's a payday. And I can't imagine any other reason to take on a project like this, and it might be inoffensive to some, and I guess really if you boil it down, it pretty much is inoffensive, but it ends up offending me because it could have at least been something sort of endearing, sort of funny, and none of the scenes have any coherency. Character motivations through this thin, threadbare plot change out of goddamn nowhere. Oh, somebody's doing this, and wait, suddenly I need to go over here and have this character arc. And the friends argue, you have to honestly wonder how they were ever friends even as kids. There could be a little amusement found in some of these gags, I guess, if you tried to put them in a vacuum, but they really should have just said, okay, we're just going to have an AI program write this, because I got to be honest, this is some of the worst comedy writing I have seen in fucking years. Ricky Stenicki was terrible. That movie seemed like a laugh riot. I didn't laugh once during that. This was agonizing. This is a streaming movie that got a theatrical release, and while I am happy that people got paid, and I hope everybody had a good time making it, there were song inclusions in this. There was, Bad Moon Rising. Boy, if that wasn't a goddamn, omen for the whole damn thing. This movie should have been given the Omen treatment. Look, Damien, it's all for you. And they should have just swung it through a goddamn window and said, let's do something else. The message is heavy-handed and simple and also stupid. And yeah, I probably wouldn't be harping on this movie so much, but as a comedy, it doesn't work. As a drama, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's about the power of friendship and stuff like that. And if there was anything, any talent, behind the talented cast here, then sure, I might actually buy into it. I don't know who Castile Landon is beyond the movies that I mentioned. Maybe she basically just hacked this movie out because, I don't know, they were holding her favorite pet hostage? I don't know, because I can't imagine somebody would make a movie this bad on purpose unless the studio said, we're just going to make the worst comedy possible because we have marketable stars and we're going to shove it out in theaters. And I actually was shocked that there was anybody else in the movie when I saw this, and this is going to hit streaming soon. There's no way. I can't believe I went on so long about this. But good God, any of them. Mary's marriage gets brought up. And again, the talented cast, I cannot stress enough, is wasted. Is so goddamn wasted. I felt like drinking after watching this. How dare you? How dare you, Summer Camp? How dare you, Castile Landon? How dare you, studio that made this? You made a straight edge man want to drink. How dare you? It's in theaters if you want to fucking check it out. It's a fucking abysmal comedy. It's everything wrong with modern movies. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So there's a funny gag, so to speak, where everybody bonds. You had Jenny that, went in, young Jenny that helped Mary with her first period, shoving a tampon in her. That might have been funny if we had gone, any kind of decent route, but we then see the workaholic stuff. It turns out that Nora actually lost her husband and really hasn't been able to find love. She finds love with Eugene Levy eventually. I can't imagine that these two felt anything other than, well, we need to do this stuff. And again, likable people, but good God, they had no chemistry. Jenny, the workaholic, Mary in this, marriage where it's a loveless marriage. She's working a lot. She's given up on her dreams. She is she's working in a medical profession, but she wanted to be a doctor. And Jenny paid for the whole goddamn thing because she felt that was the only way to get her friends there. And I'm not going to talk about the rest of the plot right there because there's really no plot. It's an incoherent, incomprehensible mess, an amalgamation of bullshit. How fucking dare you again, studio, you fucking assholes. Waste this goddamn talent. Nicole Richie was there doing her best acting. I don't know who told Nicole Richie she should be an actress, but they lied. They absolutely lied. Victoria Rowell and Maria Howell were in this, and they are two good actresses. I don't know what they were doing here. And nevertheless, let's just get on with the rest of it. So, few particular scenes that were annoying. Anytime the Vic character appeared, I actually just literally wished for death to take this movie. Just the Grim Reaper to pluck this thing and take it down to the depths of hell. And I thought that that was the worst point, but no, no, it fucking wasn't. What were all these talented people doing in this is what I noted a few times here on my notes. So, let's talk about one particular scene. So, there is a food fight about, 50 minutes, an hour into the movie. I was checking my watch or checking my phone rather, and gave up time coding it, but it's about 50 minutes, an hour into the movie, and there's a sudden food fight after one of the characters nearly chokes to death, and then Ballroom Blitz starts playing. I'm going to say right now that yeah, if any of the members of Ballroom Blitz are left alive, I hope that check was worth it because, good God, that is a shameful way to use that song. Which, yes, it's a fun song. It just wasn't in a fun scene. And then you had this guy, Jimmy Josh Peck, who is an unqualified guy, and he's always cleaning up shit and always doing this stuff, and has one scene with Kathy Bates where she kind of knocks him, even though he actually is good at what he does, and he's already down on himself enough as it is. And a lot of these characters are really mean and stupid and not worth rooting for. But yeah, the Ballroom Blitz food fight scene, I'm like, what the fuck is this? There was earlier a clay class that was like, making phallic stuff. It's like when they did it in Naked Gun, except Naked Gun actually did it funnier. So, basically, in closing, everybody unites. They're all happy. Summer of 69 plays. Oh, yes, and they also couldn't have their cell phones there because they need to have a technology-free thing, but they need to keep in contact with their respective loved ones or work and this kind of stuff. And Nora says as she's going to zip line, she's quitting her job. I mean, she's almost 80 at this point, I believe Diane Keaton is, so really, what else does she need to do? Probably enjoy retirement. Kathy Bates is at least in her late 60s, likely early 70s, and Alfre is 72. And gonna go, do more in the medical field, I guess. And Jenny realized that, maybe she doesn't need to be such a bitch. She did do this speech a little bit earlier before the zip lining. Summer of 69 plays us. And yeah, if I was Bryan Adams, I'd be like, what the fuck were you doing? Yes, this movie should apologize for Bryan Adams on several occasions. F. It gets an F. This is abysmal. And yeah, it's supposed to be seen as entertainment. That only helps if you have fucking entertainment in it. So, I might dive into some of those after movies. I might see if they're just as bad as this and wonder if maybe somebody needs to tell the director, you probably need to find something else to do in the world of Hollywood. Because, good grief, this was so fucking terrible. And I can take a lot of bad comedy. I can take some syrupy sweet stuff as long as you have some good characters in and you have a light tone and you just enjoy yourselves. But good God, this is everything bad about comedy. Everything bad about drama. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. I don't know if it's studio interference. I don't know if AI took over and maybe Skynet's become self-aware. It gets an F. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.